Hey guys, it's Marissa. I got a cute project for you real quick today. This is what we're making. I had a couple of these Little Debbie strawberry shortcakes left over from my bingo projects. So that's hence this box. It's a perfect size for that. It's about 2 by 2 by 4.5. So it's kind of a big treat box, but that's what I'm going to put in there. I got a few left, and I always have people in my life to thank. So I thought I'd put together a few of these, show you a fun way to break the Valentine paper, maybe a little bit out of the Valentine box, and just do something fun and different. All right, so let's get started with our box, and I'm just going to jump right in with my with my cardstock here, and we'll get scoring. All the measurements and everything are going to be on the blog in a little bit. I'm going to grab my Simply Score tool, and this paper is Flirty Flamingo. I can barely fit it all on screen. It's 8.5 by 10. So take a sheet of cardstock, a standard, and then cut an inch off. It's almost a whole sheet of cardstock, and then pop it into your Simply Score tool at 8.5 inches. Love my Simply Score tool. All right, then on the 8.5 inch side, you want to score at 2 and at 6.5. You don't have to scramble to write this down. I'll have a printable project sheet for you on the blog. All right, so now we're turned it to 10 inches, and we're going to score at 1, at 2, at 4, at 6, at 8, and 9. Lots of scores on that side. All right, so that's the base of our box. It's big. Let's trim away some of the pieces. Now, when you're looking at this little dude, you'll see that in the corners, you've got these little double rectangles, and then square, 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 double rectangles. Can you guys see that? Is the camera picking that up? So what we need to do, and it's the same both sides, double rectangle, square, 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 double rectangle. Let's cut those double rectangles out. Oop, I got a thumbs up. I think you guys see what I'm talking about. Maybe the camera is picking up those score lines. So you're going to go ahead and just cut out this double rectangles in all 4 corners. That one's hanging on for dear life. All right, so now we've got this. All those double rectangles are gone. Now let's go ahead and grab our bone folder before we do any more trimming. I just want to work this score really quick before we take apart the tabs. It's easier to work all these little tabs at one time than it is to work them after they've been separated. Now we'll separate these tabs by just cutting out a small dart. I cut the score line completely out. And then while you're here, you're going to take this middle tab here, this guy, and just lob off about 3/4 of an inch. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's going to be hidden inside the box. All right, same thing on this side. All right, there's your box. Don't worry about the measurements. They'll be on a printable project sheet later today, and I'll link you to it on the Facebook page. Now, designer series paper will be next. We want to put our designer series paper on while our box is flat. That makes it easier to burnish. So, my designer series paper is From the Heart designer series paper, and I'm using this fun diagonal real red and Flirty Flamingo pattern, and I'm just going to put that on with some snail adhesive. And we're taking this From My Heart designer series paper out of the Valentine box. Let's use it for something that's not necessarily Valentine's. I think this would be a cute one for Teacher Appreciation Week too. That comes up first week in May. Be a cute theme. All right, then we're gonna do, so for this guy, we want to, it's a brand new roll, can't find the start. We want to put on the outside of the box here, a strip of tear and tape on the short tab on the outside. Now we want to put a strip of tear and tape on the inside of the box, on the front of the box, so that our tabs wrap to the back and our seams will be down the back of the box. We're going to start with these guys. We're going to peel off. Should be using my Take Your Pick tool. All right. These guys are liberated. Oh, forget it. We are so using the Take Your Pick tool. So much easier. So much less painful. All right. This guy goes up. And then the back tab wraps around toward the front. Do you see that? And you're just going to make a nice square bottom. Burnish that down. Same with this one. This tab goes up. Back wraps around toward the front. Make sure you're nice and square at the bottom edge here. And then burnish that down. Then we can remove the adhesive from our front flaps. Well, we wouldn't remove the adhesive, we'll remove the liner from the front flaps and put these guys around toward the back. So again, you're going to square up your bottom and then burnish down the adhesive. So now we've got our box. Not too bad, eh? And it's 2 by 2 by 4.5. Let's drop our little cake in there. You'll probably fit something else in there, maybe a little cup of coffee, like an instant coffee. Pack of tea, I bet would fit too. It's a very roomy box. I love this little guy. All right, now I'm going to seal my box closed. You don't have to seal your box closed. You could punch a couple of holes, thread some ribbon through, and tie a bow. For this particular design, though, I wanted this bow to be the star of the show, so I did not do it that way. Or you could put a clip on here, one of these little library clips, or one of the copper clips in that tag and embellishment kit. But there's our box all sealed up. I'm going to round my corners. It's a nice little detail. All right, so I'm just going to pop this in my corner rounder here, and I'll round both layers at one time. Now let's be mindful. See, this is the back of our box. Do you see the little seams there? So let's make sure we decorate the front. Front side up. It's cute just as it is, isn't it? And I've got my die. This is from the Stitched So Sweetly dies. I love these Stitched So Sweetly dies. They have 4 different little labels of all fun shapes, and then nested, scalloped, stitched rectangles. Great die set. We're using this largest label die, and we're going to cut that from Real Red card. I'm going to pop this guy on and give him a crank. What I think is so fun is that I am layering the Stitched So Sweetly, Stitched So Sweetly label with the new Label Me Lovely punch. And aren't they a perfect combination? This is the Label Me Lovely punch. We're going to use that one in just a second here. I lost a Big Shot plate earlier today. Just found it. It was under the Big Shot. Nothing like punking yourself, right? All right, I got a scrap of Whisper White and my Thank You Very Much from Witty-cisms. I'm going to ink that up in Memento Tuxedo Black and stamp on my scrap. I hope this one's big enough. I might be cutting it close here, but I'm cutting it close because I want to kind of show you a trick. I end up with all these scraps that are so little, like nothing you can do with them, practically kind of scraps. And little guys like this. But what I want to show you here is when you got this little guy that you want to punch out your shape, what you can do is take this little scrap, another one of like almost a useless piece. Little snail adhesive. Adhere it to your small scrap of Whisper White. And then you can get in there and you can punch that little bitty piece. So now you've just made two practically useless scraps into a perfect label me. Lovely. See that? We were able to get real close and still get perfect placement. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that, but I love using all those little bits. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna bring in my Stampin' Pierce mat. I just don't wanna take any chances that since I'm blending so many colors that it soaks through. When you're doing alcohol markers right, it will soak through the back. I'm just coloring my strawberry with light Flirty Flamingo. Color in almost entirely. And then I'm gonna bring some dark Flirty Flamingo. I'm actually gonna use the brush end here into that. Scribble them together. Now I've got light Real Red here, and I'm going to color in the Real Red. Get a little bit more detail there, right up against the leaves, underneath. And you'll see that I'm going to leave a section right here where all that Flirty Flamingo was. Then I'm going to take the dark Flirty Flamingo and bring it together with the Real Red. Kind of the light Flirty Flamingo too, to push it all back into the cardstock a little. Keep a highlight on my little strawberry. Then I'll take my dark Real Red and I'll get in the edges and those spots where the artist shadowed. See how the artist shadowed the bottom of the berry here for us? So I'll really add my darkest shade there, here underneath the leaf. And then I'll bring together the dark Real Red and with light Real Red. So it's quite a bit of shading, gives us a pretty effect when it's all dry, but it didn't take long, right? Do you guys like that? All right, so now we're gonna do the top of our berry. I've got light Granny Apple, quick base coat, and then dark Granny Apple green in the shadows. I love when the artist gives us a clue where to put those shadows. Hi, Avenel. Kathy loves it. Good. Do you like to color, Kathy? I love to color. Coloring and fussy cutting are my sanity. And then got a little spot here. Got to go in with some of this red, but I'm going in with the dark red, so I'm going to have to go in with the light too and just soften the edge of that. All right. So when that dries, you'll have some fun shadows and highlights. All right, I got my small bloom from Celebration. Love this dude. And my leaf punch. And let's grab a little bit of So Saffron. Got just a scrap here. We're gonna punch one of those little flowers. And we need a little Granny Apple green. I'm digging in here. Let's see what we can find. We're not using the stems really in this application, so they're going to be hidden underneath, so a little scrap will do, and don't punch the whole stem. I love using up my scraps. The smallest piece I can get what I need from, it's like a game I play. There's our leaves. I think I do actually. All right, so let me show you my embellishments. I've got my mini library clips here. Well, I've got what's left of my mini library clips. This little packet is 36 library clips. So you get a lot in this little packet. And clearly I love them. That's all I've got left is 3 little white ones. I think I got a full pack in the drawer. Keep a full pack on hand. You'll love them. All right, so I'm going to clip my little library clip. And then I've got a scrap of braided linen trim here. All right, so we got a little bow. Let's get a mini glue dot, and I'm just gonna glue dot that to my clip. I need my Take Your Pick tool because we got kind of narrow ribbon, so I like to fold my little glue dot in half with the Take Your Pick tool. Pick up the folded glue dot. I'll put it on the back of the knot, and then I can just bring that to my clip. See? that really helps if you've got dexterity issues. See how easy that was? Now ribbon scissors. Let's trim the tails. I usually tie my ribbons right off the spool so we don't have this much waste, but these were cannibalized from a class kit, so we'll just have to mourn the loss of 2 inches of ribbon there. Now here's our little So Saffron bloom. What we're gonna do with this guy to give it some life, take your Stampin' Pierce mat, you take your pick tool with the putty end, cap on, and then just press. You can give a little rock if you want to, but then it gives your flower some easy shape. And I also like to, with this flower, if I'm not stamping it, I like to add a little center. So I've got what's left from another video here and a little office supply size hole punch, a 1/4 inch. And I like to use that for the flower center. I feel like it gives some life to the flower if you're just punching it. I'm going to take some multi-purpose liquid glue and I'm going to adhere my leaf, one of them, to the back of the label. So just a little bit of glue. And then I'm going to tuck this guy in so that we see mostly leaves and not a lot of stem. Then dimensionals. And then this guy can get stuck centered on our Stitch So Sweetly label. Aren't those two shapes great together? And then our last little leaf, we're going to add a little multi-purpose liquid glue to the stem again. This time we're going to slide it right underneath. And we don't need to hide all the stems on this one because our flower is going to do that, but we have to keep in mind that we don't want the leaves off the bottom of the box. That's pretty good. So let's get some, I think multi-purpose liquid glue or tear and tape are going to be your best bet here. But don't put your adhesive past the center line on the top because you'll see that adhesive up here would leave us with a sticky situation. So only halfway. And then we'll adhere to our box. Maybe a little to the left. I like that we got a second to slide it with the multi-purpose liquid glue. Burnish that guy down. All right, I need my little flower. I'm going to drop a dot of multi-purpose liquid glue in the center. And then I might take your pick tool, that bitty little circle we punched, we're gonna drop that right in the glue. This mini dimensional is gonna go right off my little label there. Peel, make it sticky. And then we're gonna add our flower in, but we gotta be careful that we don't cover our sentiment. Just right to the dimensional. That's it. That was it. All right, everybody. I'm going to go get this video edited and the project sheet on the blog for you. Have a great weekend. Thanks for joining me. Marisa@kitchentablestamper.com is my email if you've got any questions about anything. Talk to you soon. See you next week.